I don't cross my T's. I don't dot my I's. I won't say pretty please, or speaking little white lies. I've got a rebel soul. 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 Oh, just get down with it, down with it, down with it. Just get down. I ain't no thing that you can chain with a ring. And I ain't no price for admiring eyes. I've got a rebel soul. 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 Just get down with it, down with it, down with it. Just get down. I can be good when I wanna. I just don't wanna. I can be good when I wanna. I just don't wanna. I can be a good girl when I wanna. I just don't wanna. I can be good, I can be good, but no, I got a rebel soul. Hey, I've got a rebel soul. I got a rebel soul. Yeah, I've got a rebel soul. Hey, down with it, my rebel soul. Down with it, my rebel soul. Down with it, my rebel soul. Down with it, down with it, down with it. Just get down with it, down with it, down with it. Just get down with it, down with it, down with it, down with it, down. I've got a rebel soul.
Can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me now? Am I muted? I was muted, wasn't I? Again. Y'all know I do that. I don't mean to. It just happens. John Bubba said, the best part is drinking with no pants on at home. Awesome. You know what, John Bubba? I don't know. I don't want to know what the first part of that was. I wanted to go live earlier today, you guys, but it's been storming here. And our internet has just been in and out. It's been so slow. My computer's just dragging. I swear I need to do something about my computer. So, if we have issues tonight, we might have to cut it short, but we're gonna go with it. We're gonna see how we're doing. Looks like a lot of you guys are already here. That's awesome. All right. So what I picked up for us tonight is like as I was doing all of this, as I've been working on all these clips with old boy, old boy, old girl Stephanie, and old boy Darrell. Um, there's just a bunch of like random clips, and I put them like I haven't even gone through them lately. So just it should be fun for all of us. It was what I'm trying to say because I don't know what we're fixing to watch. But y'all been a whole week without anything, without any Brooks meetings. So I thought that you get your fix here tonight. Okay. Well, Melanator, I'm glad you caught alive too, honey. So let's bring old boy up.
1 second.
Y'all ready to hee hee and a kiki?
And for the record, I don't consent to that name, Your Honor.
Noted for the record. I intend to have the jury brought out. I presume you're ready to go?
Having a slight issue finding
Slight.
certain.
Can you sit up, because I'm not hearing you very well, so that the microphone picks you up, please?
I'm having a slight issue locating some of the files that I need. That's what I was trying to say.
All right, we'll take a moment. You can look. Tell me when you locate them.
Okay.
In his box fort that he hasn't looked through since he got out of court the day before. Oh, heads up, guys. I talk over this video. I try not to talk over when they're talking, but I do. I might laugh. So if y'all don't like commentary, just most of you like it. See, this is what I'm saying. This is stuff I have not clipped. So, but it just kind of makes you kind of wonder. Like he had no problem whatsoever making everybody wait while he did this. A narcissist at his best, right? Yours was too, show? Yeah, I was having internet issues big time today. You did not see it. You can't see it today, Bama. By the way, Bama, good to have you back on. Little girl, Stephanie, or Marcus Travis.
Your Honor, I have a question.
Go ahead.
The files that I'm attempting to locate are pertains directly to the witnesses that I will be calling.
Oh,
I'm not sure what witnesses are here today.
Well, let's do this. I'd like you to at least do your opening statement, bring the jury in, do that. We'll give you an opportunity to look again. I can have the state write down who's here. I believe it's based on what you told them, and then if there's still something you need at that point, but I'd like to at least bring the jury out and start with your opening statement, okay?
Well, just so I'm clear, I didn't give a specific order in who I will be calling by specific order. I gave a generalization of
Sure, I'll
who
have the
would be-
state, sorry.
you see what that was all control. He did not want to let them know who he was calling. So that was just like one little bit of control he had. He was going to take it whatever he could.
who would be called on what day.
Why don't I have the state write down who's here presently, and then you can make that determination, but at least let's go with the opening statement, okay?
That's what I was trying to get at. It would help to know who's actually here today.
Before you make your opening statement?
Well, so I know if they're not here, then essentially I can't call them.
He probably wouldn't even look for anything, Paula.
Let's address that after. I'll have the state write down who they know to be here now or who's coming this afternoon, because there might have been people here this morning. I believe they're still here, but I'll let them write that down for you so you can better prepare. But at this point, I would like to bring the jury out for your opening statement. I presume you're going to give one.
I am.
Okay.
Oh,
Then
he is.
I'll have the jury brought out, okay?
Subject matter jurisdiction.
My prior written decision stands. I will not be addressing that further. Your objection is noted, and I will be continuing with the trial.
Is it verified proof for the record?
Sir, I don't believe I need to do that, or that the state needs to do that as well. I believe your statement about that is a misstatement of the law.
Thank you,
And I
Patty.
do not intend to pursue that further.
Can you show me lawful law that says that?
I gave you a written decision. I have done that.
Can you show me lawful law that verifies that
Sir,
for the record?
I gave,
That I accepted for value in return for
and
value.
that's how I'm gonna answer that. So
It was
let's,
not verified proof. We still aren't.
sir, there is no requirement in the law that the state or the court establish that. So your
Actually,
objection
there
is
is.
noted.
Actually, there is, Your Honor. Subject matter jurisdiction has
Sir,
to be
please.
proven for the record. Has
It
to
does
be
not.
proven. Has to be proven. You know that just as well as,
Mr. Brooks,
you know that.
please do not make statements that mischaracterize the law
You know it has to be proven
or that
for the
impugn the
record.
integrity of this
You know
court
it has to be
and
proven
the
on the
proceedings
record.
here.
You know
The
it has
jury
to
is
be proven.
advised to disregard the statements that Mr. Brooks is making regarding subject matter jurisdiction. They are not evidence, and you are to disregard them.
If not presented as evidence, just has yet to be proven for the record.
The jury will disregard the incorrect statements of the law that
Y'all, why did he keep on with that? Like, if she gave him, she gave him an explanation. She put it in writing. She addressed it finally. Why did he keep going on it? Why did he think that he could keep going on it? And was that like the first thing he had in his appeal? Like when he went to find an appeals attorney, appellate attorney, whatever they call him. We need to look at this subject matter jurisdiction.
Mr. Brooks is stating.
Where's lawful law that is incorrect?
Mr. Brooks, please. I am going to read one instruction. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. The defendant will now make an opening statement. The purpose of an opening statement is to give the defendant an opportunity to tell you what he expects the evidence will show.
See, I'm telling you guys, random clips. I don't know what I do or what I did. So let me see some of these. I might have to fast forward a little
I
bit.
believe, I had heard that the juror questionnaires for the next set of jurors coming in have been provided to Mr. Brooks.
Thank you for that reminder. He has been provided with 2 additional binders. He probably doesn't even have the first one anymore because the first binder only went to juror number 41. He does, he still has it. Okay, so he has that binder. He has 2 additional binders, which are separated. I believe it's 42 to 70 and then 71 to 100 something. But it is the balance of the jurors who had been instructed to come on day 1. This is the jurors who were not questioned yesterday. It's not even all of them who will be coming in because of the physical limitations in this courtroom. We'll bring in 41. So he has been provided with those binders. Were we able to verify? We were able to verify the audio is working. The video is working, just like we can see him, he can see us. For those of you who are in the courtroom, what he would be seeing on the monitors would be that 4 square as well. Because it is through the Zoom, he would have his picture as well. So he would see the double image, if you will. I should also make a record that there are a number of individuals on my Zoom as well, right, to allow victims under the statute and Constitution to be present by Zoom for jury selection due to the court not streaming jury selection. I believe I also have
Attorney Anna Keys also
Standing up.
watching as well, along with at least one actually, I think I see 2 victim witness workers. So I have a lot of screens up here, a lot of boxes on my screen. So I believe the state has complied with victim rights. Would you please confirm that?
We have.
Did I overlook anything you asked me to cover?
Your Honor, the only other thing, and I think the court somewhat made a record by your findings, but I know that the defendant made 2 motions to dismiss for judicial misconduct. Again, I'd ask the court to summarily deny those motions based upon lack of merit, and he didn't provide any support for either motion.
I believe he did raise a motion to dismiss based on judicial misconduct. I think he also threw in there another request to stay the proceedings or file an interlocutory appeal. While that's really not something I would need to address because nothing's been filed as it relates to a request for an appeal, I will deny that summarily. There's been no basis in law or fact provided.
Santa's in the house.
Dismiss based on judicial conduct.
I've been good, Santa.
Based upon there being no showing in law or fact. All right, anything else then before the jurors are
I've been
brought
good
in?
all year.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
I will, just like I did yesterday, advise the jurors that Mr. Brooks is appearing from a remote location and that should not influence their verdict in any way.
Look at, he's still probably fussing at everybody over there. Oh, you know what? Kimmy, that subject matter jurisdiction. I went to Biloxi the other day. I thought it might be there, but it was not. It was not there.
It appears to me that Mr. Brooks continues to stand, make hand gestures, and talk. I will, again, just advise him, should he desire to raise any issues with the court, he is advised to write that down on paper. The bailiffs are instructed to promptly provide that either to the court staff that's in there or another bailiff, and that will be provided to me forthwith so that I can raise any issues of merit. All right, with that, then we will begin the jury selection process. And
All right. Like I said, these are just random clips, you guys. I don't want to watch this again because we just watched this not so long ago. Hang on. Okay, we'll watch this part. I didn't want to watch.
Many jurors have really not read a lot. I know that from the jury questionnaires. And I don't want to put information in another juror's head that isn't there. And so sometimes we ask those types of questions outside the presence of other jurors, still within the presence of all of us in the courtroom. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
I just want to say too, sometimes reading something and seeing something can be different things. Like it's virtually impossible to not turn on the TV these days and not see something directly related to this.
That's why I watch a lot of Netflix, sir. So I don't
Okay.
have to watch a lot.
Did y'all just pick that up?
I remember
Believe
those
it or not,
days.
you're gonna run into a lot of jurors that
I
do that as
remember
well.
those days.
What an idiot.
So, all right, I think that addresses those. I know I need to finalize that. That's on my list of things to do, along with the script for jury selection, and I will be getting that to the parties just as quickly as I can.
The Diet Coke, not a
Is
beer,
there
y'all.
anything else I need to address today from the state's perspective?
No, nothing, thank you, Judge.
Anything, Mr. Brooks, you think I need to address today?
No, not at this time.
All right, then that will conclude our hearing. I will get paperwork to you and actually both parties.
We have never sat through this part, you guys, and this was the part where she's right after his attorneys were sent away, right? We always kind of gone around it, but it's so funny to sit there and watch him like going back and forth in his chair like a little kid, like he thought he knew what he was doing. Like, oh, this is gonna be I got this in the bag.
And We will plan on convening on Monday morning at 8:30 for the start of jury selection. Thank you, everyone. We are in recess.
Yeah.
So for those of you just coming in, these are random clips that I have not edited down. We've seen so many things that I put together that were edited and better done. Is that the word I'm looking for? More well done. I don't know. But these were just, I thought tonight we'd just have fun and go through some of these that I had just sitting on the shelf. Just to see what was in here. I've got like 8 hours worth.
Is it Haynes or Hayes? Does anyone know?
No N to the best of my knowledge.
Hayes? All right, good afternoon, sir. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is on my right. Upper riser. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. My clerk, Teresa, who's across from you, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. The first thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
Jason, Jason, Hayes, Hayes.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir. Your witness.
Just 1 second.
We'll take it. I actually had a strip of him just delaying the trial that I was going to put together for you guys. But then I thought it would be kind of boring after I put it all together. I was like, oh my gosh, this could be 2 days worth of footage. Where it was just like this, where everybody's waiting on him.
Accept for value in return for value this document for the record. Good afternoon, Mr. Hayes. Is that how you pronounce it, Hayes?
Yep.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a retail sales associate for a food broker. I'm in worldwide.
Been there for a long time?
21 years.
Yes, it's a long time. The evening of November 21st, 2021. You recall that evening pretty well?
Fairly well, yes.
What were you doing that evening?
Went to the parade.
Did you go to the parade with family, friends?
I went there with my daughter.
Perry Mason over here.
Do you recall what time you arrived?
30 minutes before the parade started.
Were you scheduled to do any marching in the parade itself, or
No.
just spectating?
Yes.
It's just so exciting.
Just for the record, did you say yes to being a spectator?
Yes.
Thank
That's
you.
what I thought he said.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure there was.
Yeah, he answered. Anything unusual catch your eye that day that you recall?
Yes.
And what did you see?
Besides the parade,
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was unusual that caught your eye that evening.
well, where we were, yes, a red truck came through where we were. It honked and swerved.
I guess I want to back up a little bit. Where were you positioned at that
We
time?
were all the way at the beginning of the parade.
Okay.
Like, it was Main and, the corner of Main and White Rock.
Okay. And you said you observed this vehicle honked and swerved?
Yes.
What did it swerve from?
I'm sorry?
What did it swerve from?
Where?
Or was it, I guess the correct question would be, why did it swerve?
I don't know. I wasn't driving. I don't know what his intentions were.
John Bubba, you're the president of the Brooksaholic fan club. Or should I say, Kiki Club.
And you stated that the vehicle honked. Was that just a single honk, or was it a beep beep, or?
One honk.
Do you recall stating that it honked several times?
I don't
And
recall.
when you were initially.
I don't recall.
So well, before we get to that, did you see where the vehicle went after it honked and swerved?
Yes, it kept on going straight down Main, east, well, the same route the parade went.
The description of who was driving the vehicle, you saw that?
I did not.
Itty bitty.
Did you get a license plate?
I did not.
Do you recall if the vehicle had any tinted windows?
No.
Use the bright lights.
And I'm assuming at some point you you either were interviewed by enforcement or seek to be interviewed by law enforcement.
I did, by a detective.
And do you recall if that was the same evening, or?
It was not the same evening.
So
It was a couple
days
days
prior.
after.
Yeah. Do you recall in that interview that you had with the detective
John Bubba's got a lot of them
stating
tonight.
that your kids were playing in the roadway and the operator of the vehicle honked the horn several times and veered to the left around the kids?
Yes,
So in your opinion, it wasn't trying to strike the kids?
correct, yes.
And after it continued, I think you said east.
Yep,
Would that be correct? East.
yep.
Did you see the vehicle strike anyone? When
I
you...
did not, no.
Didn't two or one of his kids get hit or something? Or swiped maybe?
Do you recall what side of the street the vehicle was traveling on at that
It
time?
was on the right side.
On the right side.
So we were on the north side of the road.
So the right side would be.
Yep.
Okay.
I need to do a video of him just arguing with the judge.
Did you see the vehicle stay on the north side of the road for the duration of the time that you observed it?
Yes,
So you never saw it go to the other side of. No further questions at this time.
Thank you. Any
No further.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hayes.
good afternoon.
Thank you for your attendance, sir. Mr. Hayes, do you remember seeing a police officer at this intersection as well?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you remember writing in your report or telling the police officer that a police officer chased the vehicle on foot?
Objection, leading.
overall cross? You may answer.
I thought I saw a police chasing after the car on foot.
Okay. And do you remember also telling the same officer that the SUV took off down the street and that it accelerated?
Yes,
Objection.
Is that
Hold on, there's been an objection.
I guess the objection to be what officer is being referred to. Was it clear?
Overruled. Question.
I guess I was asking was that referring to The interview officer?
Your objection is noted, it's overruled. The statement asked the question fully.
Is that your recollection, sir, that the vehicle sped off and accelerated away?
Yes.
Objection speculative.
Overruled.
Do you also recall telling the officer who interviewed you that the driver of the vehicle had a dark complexion and a beard?
Yes.
Is that accurate with your recollection of the driver?
Yes.
But you didn't see a face, you couldn't
No.
identify anybody beyond those descriptions, correct?
Hold on. There's been an objection to leading, it's overruled. The witness may answer.
No.
All right, thank you, sir. Those were all my questions.
Thank you. Any redirects, sir?
Briefly, very briefly. You made a reference to the driver of the vehicle having a dark complexion. What would you consider a dark complexion?
A dark complexion. I don't know.
It is kind of hard.
Good gracious.
Did you notice any clothing?
I did
on
not.
the driver?
No.
Did you notice any hair?
No.
No further questions?
All right, thank you. You may step down.
I think all the
Where
chat
is he?
I think all your y'all's comments are really late showing up. Is it just me?
The defense may call its next witness, please.
Zach's like, this is gonna be a long trial.
Quick question before I do: who's supposed to be arriving at 3:30? Just so I know.
I'm not
He's
sure.
asking his secretary.
Idiots and Darrell will be here at 3:30. Mr. Liscano is here now, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I knew who was here now. Just trying to get clarity.
Are you going to call Mr. Liscano?
It would appear so. He's the one that's here.
All right, then he may. The defense is calling Abel Liscano, correct?
I just want to smack him.
The defense is calling Abel Liscano.
All right, very well. We'll have him brought up. Thank you.
Roll Tide, Tony.
Good afternoon, sir. If you would please make your way to the witness stand. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. And my clerk Teresa, who will be across from you or is across from you, will swear you in.
You're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing about the truth, so help you God.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. First thing I will have you do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
Abel Liscano, A-B-E-L-L-A-Z.
Good afternoon, Mr. Liscano. What do you do for a living currently?
I'm a hairdresser.
No judgment whatsoever on this question. Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Bell was wild when he was young.
Do you recall the night of November 21st,
Still like him, though.
2021 pretty well? I know it's been a minute.
He's a bad boy.
Best as I can, yeah.
What were you doing that evening, if you recall?
The Christmas parade?
Were you marching in the parade? Or,
No, I was watching it.
who were you there with? Family, friends?
My wife and my daughter.
Do you recall where you were positioned to watch the parade?
I was standing in front of the Corey Shrimp.
WTF Google. I was gonna say I have nightmares if his
That part of Main Street close to
stuff
like
comes up on YouTube while I'm
side
trying to
street.
sleep.
Far from Maple.
Do you recall the side streets being barricaded during the parade?
I don't remember.
Do you recall what time you arrived at the parade that evening?
It had just started, so whatever time that was at.
You recall something other than the parade catching your attention that day?
People getting hurt, yeah.
I love how he calls them out.
And what did you see that day, if you recall?
I saw a red SUV plow over a bunch of people.
And did you see the driver of this SUV you're referring to?
Yeah, you're standing right there.
Boom.
And how many people did you see in the vehicle?
Just one, the driver.
So, do you recall flagging down a law enforcement vehicle that evening?
Yeah, I do.
And do you recall what you told the officer that evening?
Not very well.
I'm gonna attempt to see if anything brings back some recollection.
Now that's funny. Can I see your manager?
First, do you recall the name of the officer you flagged down that evening?
Officer Moss.
Do you recall telling Officer Moss that you observed 3 or 4 people in the SUV as it passed you?
I don't remember that.
So, to your recollection, the SUV that you saw, did it have tinted windows?
I don't remember.
Melanator. I don't work.
And do you remember what the description was that evening that you gave to law enforcement?
I told him it was a red SUV.
The description of the driver, do you remember that?
I know he was a black male.
I don't know, Bob. I think
Is
he's got a
that
lot of
all
them.
you recall about your description?
That's all I remember.
See, y'all wonder why I clip my videos. This is it right here. This is why.
After seeing this vehicle, what did you do?
We left. I got my family out of there.
And where did you go?
We headed back to the car.
Do you recall where your vehicle was parked?
I believe it's the Lindholm or building. It's on Maple Street.
I think this shirt's a little bit big on him though, Bob.
And did you see the vehicle stop on Maple Street?
Which vehicle?
The SUV that you claim you saw.
Oh, no, I didn't see it stop, no. It kept going through the parade.
And speaking with, is it Detective Moss? Well, speaking with law enforcement that evening, do you recall advising law enforcement that you observed 3 black subjects running from the vehicle?
No, I don't remember that.
If it pleases the court, I would like to show the witness this. I'm referring to page 4 exactly.
Is it a statement this witness?
Who says if it pleases the court anymore?
I believe it's with, I don't think he wrote it himself.
So it's a summary written by another person.
By, I don't know if it's Officer Moss or Detective Moss. I'm not sure what his rank is.
Continue with your questions. I'm going to deny the request that you show the exhibit or the paperwork to the witness.
Do you recall making the statements to Detective Moss that you observed one where it says 1 was described as running southbound on Maple towards College Avenue? Do you recall that?
No, I don't.
Do you recall stating that the other 2 were described as running in a westerly direction from the rear of 338 Maple Street?
No.
Do you recall
What you don't recall?
stating that 1 black subject was described as tall, wearing a blue top and blue and black pants, while the other subjects were described as 2 short black males wearing sweatpants?
Barely, a little bit of that.
So, which of these subjects do you minimally recall wearing those items that evening?
No, you asked me if I remember people running, and I said no. I remember describing those people to him. I remember.
So where did you observe those?
Standing by the vehicle, where I found the vehicle, where I spotted it.
Just so we have clarity, describe the subjects you saw that evening standing by the vehicle.
I don't remember that good. I mean, you were describing them, so it brought back a little bit, but I can't tell you. That was too long ago.
I don't remember that good. I gotta pull up. When's his next case, y'all? I gotta look it up real quick. I think it's
And how did you come upon the
14th.
vehicle
at the address of 338 Maple Street that evening?
I was walking my family back to the car. Trying to get them to safety.
Not next Thursday, but the next Thursday he goes.
And I spotted it.
He goes on he has a hearing, a status hearing. We'll see if he's got a new attorney in his Milwaukee case. So we'll be live for that.
Do you recall stating that you saw the SUV reverse into a driveway?
No.
Do you recall why that would be reported?
No. When I found it, it was parked already.
John Bubba, do you want to come up tonight on the live with me?
Do you recall when you initially had the interaction with Detective Moss? Do you recall leading him to where the vehicle was ultimately found?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mo. Look at Abel's like, really? Come on now. I got hair to style.
Do you recall yelling at subjects standing outside of a building where, or near where the vehicle was that evening?
I remember asking them. I don't remember yelling at them.
You're so kind, Mo. And you're fair to say there is no case. I know, right, Tony? I know. I need to put a video together of just the mornings, just in the mornings when they start to see what kind of like, and boom, boom,
Do
boom,
you
back to
recall
back.
why? Do you recall why the report says that you advised Detective Moss that there are 3 black subjects, specifically black subjects, running from the vehicle?
No, I don't remember.
See, I'm not behind on the chat. I know y'all did this back when she was up on the stand. I gotta get caught up.
Were you yourself injured in this incident that evening?
No.
I can't speed it up. I wish I could. No further questions. Briefly. Nothing's briefly with Darrell. Darrell. Y'all have me starting to call him Darrell.
Do you recall stating that? Well, let me back up for a minute. Did you speak with another detective that evening, if you recall?
Yes, I did.
And do you recall if that was Detective Coates?
I don't remember his name.
So it'd be fair to say that you spoke with 2 different law enforcement officers that evening.
Yeah.
Do you recall in your interview with Detective Coates,
At least the stenographer's
in
got a
reference
break.
to the vehicle that you saw that evening, do
When
you
he-
recall telling Detective Coates that it appeared there were 3 or 4 people in the Ford Escape as it passed you?
No, I don't remember that.
Y'all, the stenographer got more of a break when he was
Do
questioning
you
witnesses
recall
than when he was in
in
another
your
room.
interview with Detective Coates that evening stating that you could not provide any description of the occupants other than that they appeared to be African American?
Yeah, I remember saying that.
So it'd be fair to say that you observed African Americans in this vehicle that you saw, correct?
The reason why I came up with 3 or 4 people was because when I was walking by and I saw the car, there was 2 or 3 black males standing by the vehicle. And there was at least 3 or 4 more on the porch. So I figured they were by the vehicle. It must have been the ones trying to hide the vehicle because they were standing in front of it or real close to it.
in your opinion, did it look like they were nervous or attempting to hide?
Well, everybody was running past them and walking really fast, and they were just standing around there. They were the only ones not doing much. So yeah, they stood out.
Now, this is the question actually was in reference to when you spoke with Detective Coates that evening, and is in reference to seeing the vehicle in the parade as it passed you. Do you recall at that point, while at the parade that evening, do you recall stating to Detective Coates that it appeared that there were 3 or 4 people in the Ford Escape as it passed you during the parade that evening?
No, I don't remember that.
Any reason why the Detective Coates would report that that's what you stated to him?
Like I said before, I saw 2 or 3 people by the vehicle, so I assumed they were with the vehicle. So they must have been in the vehicle during the parade. I saw the driver going by because he hit somebody right in front of us.
John, I love that. Delusions of adequacy. Yeah, they do need to have a calendar, Kimmy. I'm so with you on that.
Do you recall in your interview with Detective Coates that evening stating that the 3 individuals, and I'm referring to who you saw next to the vehicle, so it's clarification. The 3 individuals who were standing in a line shoulder to shoulder as African American males?
Yeah.
So it's fair to say that's what you observed that evening?
I saw at least 2 of them. And it looked like they were standing in front of it.
I want to fast forward this.
And during that interview with Detective Coates that evening, do you recall stating to Detective Coates that you may be able to recognize the older male? So I'm assuming one of the individuals that you saw standing shoulder to shoulder was a older male?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I mean, just the time that it took for him to make these stupid questions and just try to act like he was a lawyer. It's all for show. There's no thought behind it. Bob says he's so pathetic that he's delusional of being inadequate. I've never been to adequate. Where's that at?
Any reason why multiple, well, I'm not going to say multiple, 2. Any reason why the 2 detectives that you spoke with that night both reported that you stated you saw 3 black subjects running from the vehicle?
No.
And during the parade incident, were you or anyone? No further questions at this time.
Thank you, Lenny Cross.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Lascano.
For the chopper.
Sir, you said you watched the parade near Curry Insurance, is that correct?
Yeah, right in front.
Okay. Do you remember, you said you saw the SUV strike some people in the parade?
Yeah.
Yes? Do you remember what group of people in the parade? Can you remember anything about the name or the banner or the costumes or anything like that?
Objection leading.
Overruled, it's crossed.
No, I don't-
Speculative. Objection.
Overruled, the witness may answer. I believe he said no. His answer may
Yeah,
stand.
no, I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember seeing the SUV strike more than one person?
Yeah.
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled.
About how many people did you see the SUV strike, sir?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled.
It was crowds. I mean, when it was coming through, because I was standing over my daughter and my wife, they were sitting on the curb. I saw it coming through, and at first it looked like it was just pushing people out of the way, and then it just kept swerving back, and it was just plowing everybody out of the way until it got to in front of us. Then it actually hit somebody, and it just did like a cartwheel in the air.
You remember that?
Yeah, it was right in front of us.
Okay.
And while the witness was giving the answer, not the last answer, but the one prior to it, he had his right hand in the air, directioning his hand from right to left, describing the vehicle coming from right to left. And then when he said he saw someone go into the air, he was like twirling his fingers as if to say it kind of tumbled in the air. All right, go ahead.
Thank you. So, Mr. Lescano, I want to talk about the moment when you located this vehicle on Maple, okay? I'm going to ask, Madam Clerk, could you please turn on the AV system? We're going to put up State's Exhibit 65.
Go ahead.
Objection to the relevancy of Exhibit 65.
What is that again? What
Noted,
exhibit is that again?
overruled. It's been received. The state may proceed.
All right, this total clip is 36 seconds, but before we begin to play it, sir, do you recognize the area on the screen that's
Yeah.
shown in this picture?
Yeah, I believe that's Central Middle School,
Where?
right at where the stairs is.
Okay, the red brick on the left side of the picture?
Yeah.
Objection.
Okay.
Speculative.
Overruled. His answer may stand, he said, I believe.
And would you agree with me, the house where the SUV was found was up in this area here where I just put the green dot on the screen?
Yeah.
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes.
That looks right, correct, sir?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
All right, we're gonna clear the screen, please, and we're gonna play this entire clip for 36 seconds. Please watch and see if you see yourself or any of your family members in this clip.
Objection to the relevancy of this video to this particular witness.
Overruled.
Just to this witness.
Overruled on what grounds, Your Honor?
I've never caught that before.
Is that attack an agreement?
Sir, did you see yourself or your family in that clip?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled.
No, I did not.
Okay. Now, you said you did see, by the time you walked past the car, you saw 2 or 3 black males standing near the car, right?
Objection. Mischaracterization of this. He said 3. Specifically said the number.
Overruled.
And you also said you saw 2 or 3 what you thought to be black males on the porch of the residence there, correct?
Objection. Stated it was black males. Asked and answered.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
No.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, there was 2 or 3 standing by the vehicle,
Okay.
and then on the porch there was maybe 3 or 4 or more people. I don't know if they were. I'm sure they were white, but
Okay.
I was trying to not make it obvious at the time. I believe that they were with the vehicle, so I didn't want them to see that I saw them. So I just did what I
Understood.
thought was right at the time.
Sure. Do you happen to people that live at this house?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled.
No, I did not.
Would it be reasonable, do you think, Mr. Lescano, that people living in the house heard the crash and came outside and that's who you saw standing there by the vehicle?
Objection, there was never any crash mentioned.
I'll sustain, calls for speculation.
Mr. Lescano, is it possible that the people you saw standing near the vehicle were in fact just neighbors that saw the vehicle the same way you did?
Yeah.
You described that at the time you went by on Maple Street, there was a lot of people running around in the area. Is that correct?
Objection, mischaracterization of testimony.
Overruled.
Yes, there was.
And these are people hurrying away from the parade with their families, trying to get to safety just like you were, correct?
Objection, speculative.
That's my answer.
Yes.
You didn't see anything like that in State's Exhibit 65, did you?
No, I did not.
Okay. You said on direct examination that you saw the driver of the SUV in the parade. Is that right?
Yes, I did.
And you see that driver present in this courtroom here today, please?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled.
Yes, he's sitting right over there.
Are you sure about that, sir?
Yes.
Objection, speculative.
Overruled.
You said
And
that.
it mischaracterizes the testimony because that was not testified to before on direct.
Oh, your objections are overruled. I believe the witness already answered. Go ahead.
Did you happen to notice in Exhibit 65 the red SUV in that video clip that you watched?
No.
You didn't see it at
Couldn't
all,
see
did
it,
you?
no.
Okay, just wondered. Mr. Lescano, have you and I ever spoken about this case, sir?
No.
What about Attorney Basie here to my right? You and her ever talk about this case or your testimony?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
No.
Mr. Witchow on the end, did you ever talk to him about
Objection.
your testimony, sir?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
No.
All right, thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Yep.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Did you hear me honk the horn?
You stated that you saw the driver, correct? Of the
Yeah.
SUV that you saw that day, correct?
Yes.
And how did the driver look that day you saw him?
He had a scruffy beard and he was a black male.
Did you see what the driver was wearing?
No, I don't remember that.
Did you see if the driver had any hair?
I don't remember that either.
Did you see if the driver had anything noticeable about their appearance? Tattoos, scars, marks, anything like that?
No. I saw the side, the profile, the side. You were flying fast down that street. I wasn't paying attention to the colored clothes you were wearing. I knew it was a black male and had a scruffy beard. It's the first thing I told my wife, is he was a black guy driving.
And do you recall how long you were able to get a side view, as you called it, of the alleged driver?
No, it had to be a couple seconds.
And in a couple seconds time, you were able to make out the driver's profile and race just by a couple seconds.
Yeah. It's not hard. Tell if you were white or if you were black and if you had a beard or not. That's it. I don't know what color shirt you had on. If you had hair, a hat on backwards.
So that leads back to the question of, is that the only person you saw in the vehicle?
From what I remember, yes. I saw the driver. Like I said before, the reason why I thought there was 3 or 4 because I saw 3 or 4 people around the vehicle when I spotted it.
So would it be
That's the only reason.
Would it be fair to say that when you spoke with two different detectives that evening, the evening of the parade, both of those officers reported that you stated there were 3 or 4 people in the SUV as it passed you? Is that fair to say?
Oh, wait, can you repeat that again?
Just for clarification, you already stated previously in testimony that you spoke with 2 different detectives that evening, correct?
Yes, I did.
And both detectives that you spoke with that evening, the evening of November 21st, 2021, you stated to both of those law enforcement officers, detectives, that you observed 3 or 4 people in the SUV.
Like I said before, the reason why I said there must have been 3 or 4 was because they were standing by a vehicle. So I assumed that they were with the vehicle. I don't remember seeing them in the vehicle when you were hitting the people.
You stated this to both detectives, 2 different detectives, the evening of November 21st, 2021. And this was in relation to what you saw vehicle at the parade, not where the vehicle was later found. Any reason why you stated to both detectives in relation to what you saw at the parade, why both detectives in their reports stated that you told them that you observed 3 or 4 people in the SUV at the time of the parade?
So what's your question?
The question is, why did you report that to 2 different detectives on the same evening?
Like I told you before, when I walked past the vehicle, I spotted more than one individual standing in front of the vehicle. So I assumed they were with the vehicle. That's why I said they were inside.
I'm sorry.
That's why I said they were in the vehicle. I said there had to be at least 3 of them in the vehicle. That's the only reason I said that.
So why would you report that you saw this during the parade?
I don't know.
And during both interviews with detectives that evening, the evening of November 21st, 2021, you also stated to both detectives that you observed 3 or 4 black or African American is the word used. 3 or 4 African Americans running from the vehicle. Any reason why both detectives reported that you said that?
I don't remember.
No further questions.
Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Ugh. Okay, I gotta liven everything up for a second. I got something for you guys. Watch this.
Yes, I'm not stupid.
Well, I disagree with that, sir.
Sorry, I had to do it. I had to liven you guys up. Y'all want to laugh? Here is Darrell with some of his fans at the mall. Maybe some of you have seen this, maybe some of you have not. But he posted this on his Twitter feed. Me and some fans. See up there at the top left? And if you'll notice, it only got 1 heart. And it was posted in 2015. It cracks me up every time. I can't help it. I can't help it. And here's old boy. Ah, ah. Oh, Lord. It just kills me. I'm sorry. I had to do that. Okay. Let's go back over here. I want to see, just catch up with the chat for just a second. Oh, okay. Somebody's up here. Let me make sure. Who do I got?
It's me, Crazy
Is this the
Casey.
Crazy Casey? What are you doing, girl?
Oh, nothing. That C. Manson thing. That's
Yeah.
a long story, so we won't go there. But that's me.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I got John Bubba on too. Hang on. Let me add him in.
Okay. Right on. Cool.
All right, John Bubba. How you doing?
Hey, what's happening, y'all?
Well, you sound just like you look. Or should I
Oh,
say
Jesus.
like your chat looks?
I agree. I agree 100%.
Quick question. I ain't coming through too loud, am I?
No, you
No.
sound fine.
Oh, good
You
deal.
sound
'Cause
fine.
I had to make sure because I got like a $200 gaming headset that I'm using, and the mic is very sensitive.
No,
Oh,
you're actually perfect.
Oh,
yeah, it
sweet.
sounds really good.
How y'all doing?
Good, John Bubba, and you?
Oh, can't complain a whole lot. Of course, wouldn't do it looking good no how, right?
No, wouldn't.
Hey, I want to know something. Well, hang on. Well, why? I want to hear about these prison tales that he's going to tell us.
Oh, Lordy, I got more of them than a dog has fleas. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
You know what,
All right,
John Bubba? Me too. I worked at the Illinois Department of Corrections for 26 years.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I've seen
Oh,
them all. I've done it all. Now I do bonds, and it just sucks. But it's good
you got me.
money.
You got me
Well,
beat. I only got 3 years under my belt.
so
Ah,
the big topic in the chat has always been what's going on with Darrell, right?
Hmm?
And so I wanted to ask you guys what you thought was the down low as far as what he's going through right now.
Ladies first.
wow. You know what? It kind of baffles me because I don't know what's he locked up? Is he just all by himself? I mean, I don't. You know what I mean? If he's in protective custody, I can't imagine he's doing anything but being a little dickhead.
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
I don't know. You'd have to, maybe John Bubba would know about better than that, but I don't care actually. You know what I mean? Oh shit.
well,
Little shithead.
if I had
Go
to put
for
it,
it.
oh, I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep cutting you off. I'm
No, go
sorry.
for it. You're not.
Well, if let's say he did this crime here in Louisiana and he was sent to my old stomping grounds of Angola, uh, more than likely he would definitely be in PC. Uh, it would be he'd be in a cell by himself 23 hours a day. He'd come out for 1 hour on the tier to walk up and down it, take a shower and whatnot. While he's in the shower, they're shaking his cell down and everything. Uh,
He don't get
I would.
much.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I said he doesn't get much.
Right. More than likely he'd be bird bathing like a son of a gun in that shower or in his cell. But more than likely, since he's still got the pending case, they're going to be keeping him in PC because he'd be in the medical area because from what I hear, he's constantly demanding making. If I could talk without stuttering, that'd be wonderful. He's constantly declaring medical emergencies, so they're constantly having to check on him. EMTs are checking on him and everything, and he's trying to stay away from everybody because, from what I hear, he's got so many doggone what's the word I'm looking for? Bullseyes on his back.
Well, yeah,
You think so?
he
Oh,
lied and told everybody he was a blood. You think them
well,
bloods in prison are gonna be like, oh, little Darrell, you are
oh,
a blood buddy. Ha ha ha. They'll
from
get
what I
him.
hear, I'm sorry.
They'll get him.
Yeah, from what I hear, since he claimed he was a bloods are going to want to handle him in house because
Yep.
he's constantly claiming he's a blood, but
Yep.
they're like, no, he's false claiming. Now, Crips are going to want to get their hands on him because, he's false repping blood, claiming blood and stuff. Now, I hear tell, and I can't prove this, but supposedly if he was in that one of the victims or a victim's family member was like some kin to somebody high up in the motorcycle clubs of that state. So he's got marks on him because
Oh boy.
motorcycle clubs they got people in just about every prison in the country. So
Yeah.
if you got an MC after you, like say Hell's Angels, Banditos, you a goner. And supposedly, now, like I said, most of this I cannot confirm it, so I do apologize if I'm just blowing smoke up y'all's tailpipes. But supposedly,
Well, wait,
there's
John Bubba, real quick. Tell everybody what experience you have with this so they understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Oh, I used to work at Louisiana State Penitentiary, located in Angola, Louisiana. I've also worked at LaSalle Correctional Center, which was owned and operated by the LaSalle Parish Sheriff's Office. So Angola is as far as I know, still the largest maximum security prison in the United States as far as landmass goes, because it's about I can't remember if it's 18,000 acres or 28,000 acres, and it's majority of it's farmland. So the majority of inmates that go down there, 85% are going to die on the grounds. 85 out of every 100 men die on Angola's grounds.
Wow. That's crazy.
And now, going back to old Darnisha just a second, let's just say he does hit Gen Pop. More than likely, he would not be in Main Prison. Like, if y'all ever get bored, you could actually look it up on Google Maps. Main Prison is the largest prison complex on the Angola's grounds. That's pretty much Gen Pop. That's where the majority of inmates are housed. Now, Darnisha more than likely is going to get housed at at what's called Camp D, which is where I used to work. Camp D is in Delta. Camp D is a protected camp. It's where inmates that need more protection would more than likely be spending their time.
Yeah.
And the reason why they're more protected is because I'm trying to think how I could say this without possibly being offensive.
He's an idiot.
Well, besides that, I know how to say this. All right, anybody who's listening, if y'all are LGBT, please forgive me. I'm not being offensive to you. But typically inmates that are LGBT or LGBT leaning, they tend to get put in more protected areas at prisons. And
Yes,
on
they do.
Angola's grounds, majority of them are going to be housed at Camp D because the majority of them, they get put there for their protection because they're going to be more likely to be victims of SA, or they're also going to be possibly victims of just straight up violence. And another way to put it also is, ladies, I'm sure y'all are close to my age, right?
Yeah, you're only 29, right? That's what age we all are.
Oh no, I'm 42. I ain't even gonna try to lie. But
I will lie.
all right, it's all good. But now, since now y'all been out partying out in the woods in your younger days, I imagine y'all probably went into something called a sausage fest. You know what I'm talking about. So you put about 30, 40 guys out there, about 2 or 3 girls that's single, you're going to be having people throwing blows left and right. Now you take that,
jumping over bodies.
Oh yeah, you can multiply that by 100 working in inside a prison.
Oh my God.
The chances of violence are greatly increased.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, they tend to put them far away so that way they don't end up causing more trouble or more violence or getting killed themselves. Because when I worked there, they had 2 killings 23 days apart from each other, all over 2 LGBT inmates.
Oh man.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they had I'm sorry.
Even back in the day, though, like in the psych ward and all of them, even back then, the guys that were, I don't know, back then, transgender or whatever, I don't even think that was a word. I really don't think so. But these guys, they would be bitches for 10, 11 people.
Oh yeah, they'd be
locked
be
up.
Careful. Be careful, Casey. You're going to get me demonetized.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Maybe you should give me a little Casey can't do this because I'm crazy and, I don't know. Like, everybody having fun and all that good stuff.
But, well, okay, so where is Brooks going to go eventually after his trial's over with? Is it?
Well, Oh, I'm sorry, KC. I've been
No, I
yammering
don't
on.
know. I don't live down by y'all.
More than likely, if he's still being housed at Dodge, then that's where he's going to stay probably the rest of his life, unless he acts a fool or something, gets shipped to a more secure facility. But undoubtedly, he's going to be staying there at whatchamacallit, at Dodge Correctional in Wisconsin. And good God, what the heck is that going on outside? Oh, them firecrackers. Sorry. I heard a whole bunch of booming outside and got me worried for a second there. What was I saying?
About where Darrell's gonna end up after this.
Yeah, more than likely he's gonna be staying. He's gonna be staying in PC for a little while, but eventually, though, he will have to be put in Gen Pop because under under federal and state laws, you can't keep somebody indefinitely in solitary, unless, of course, they do have. There's things they got to do to get it. There's ways around it. It's just hard to describe without possibly getting myself in trouble or getting carried in trouble on YouTube.
No, that's okay. That we had wanted to talk a little bit about that though, because they felt like they were doing all that they could at this point just to keep him in protective custody. But you said at some point they can only use so many tactics, and then eventually they're just going to have to let him go back in.
Yep.
Right, because by law, otherwise it opens up the door to a lot of lawsuits that he could be filing. But he can be requesting PC a lot, but you do have
oh, that one's a little fishy.
Yeah, he can be requesting it and everything, and they got to put it in writing and stuff. But he can also just go by just breaking the rules, breaking the schedule. I don't know if they got it like they do in Louisiana, but if you break a Schedule B level rule, like fighting or defiance, some contraband, then yeah, you could be put in administrative segregation or the dungeon, the hole, whichever you would prefer to call it.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Well, I want to thank you all for coming up because I wanted to get your take on that. And we've been wanting to do something for a while. I still want to do something, Bubba, where we put something together and pre-record it.
No doubt. I know there is one thing I'd like to address I saw in the chat there, if you don't mind.
Be nice. I know what you're talking about.
Okay. Because I saw somebody mention a second ago there about him possibly getting the death penalty.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Since that state doesn't have the death penalty, he's not going to be eligible for it. But if he'd have done this here in Louisiana, I spoke to a guy who I'm friends with who is a district attorney, and I won't name where, so that way to protect him. If they'd have took it to trial, he would have pushed for the DP, and once he he definitely would be on death row in Angola without a shadow of a doubt. Because with the nature of the crime, the amount of victims, the intent and everything.
Oh yeah. Different
he
state, he would have been screwed.
Oh yeah, he would have definitely be doing the dancing with the needle in about 20 to 30 years. There ain't no other way around it. His butt would be on the road. But if he didn't, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
But I was gonna say, but now let's just say they didn't give him the DP and they gave him the 6 LWOPs plus the 800 years in the bank. Yeah, his butt would be probably doing his time at Camp D, and I guarantee you, more than likely, he'd probably not even last 3 days unless he's getting married up to somebody like a dude named Rhino that I'm always saying. Unless that dude's got a lot of respect to marry up to him, he's a goner in 3 days.
You think? Okay. Yeah. It's almost like it's better to let it. That's horrible to say that, but it's better to let it happen that way. What do they call that? The Dahmer effect.
Oh yeah. Oh, trust me, if he ended up slipping and falling in the shower and landing on a shank about 100 times, I ain't gonna sit there and lose no sleep.
I know that's horrible. Please, YouTube, don't get mad at us for saying that. Yeah. But I mean, a lot of people. He hurt a lot of people. All right,
Oh,
John
no.
Bubba. I'm going
All
to
right,
get back
ma'am.
with you on the. Hey, I want to get back with you because I want to play some videos for everybody because I don't want people saying, well, y'all said y'all were going to play videos. But I want to do a pre-record with you at some point, okay?
That ain't no trouble. You just holler at me one Saturday when you got free time, because Saturday's my day off, and the only thing I do is make sure the cows don't run away.
All right. Well, you be good. Y'all give John Bubba some love in the chat. Thanks for
All right,
coming
thank
up.
y'all for having me.
Bye.
Yeah.
Hey, and thank you too, Crazy Casey, for coming, honey. I didn't get a chance to say bye to you. All right. I'm going to pull out some more footage. Hang on. We're going to start watching some more stuff. I don't know. Ugh, I don't know how much. Let's see what we got. I might scroll fast. Don't get mad at me because I think none of these are edited. If you're late coming in, none of these are edited. I don't want to watch her testimony. I don't want to get sad tonight. Hers is kind of funny. I'm just going to fast forward real quick. I want to see something.
Him to the kids that from.
Oh, this is when he's in the other courtroom and he's all pissy. Let's go from here and see where we end up.
Courtroom, I have verified the audio and video are working appropriately. I need to address some scheduling issues, but before I do that, I need to make a record that at the very end of, after I read the closing instructions, Mr. Brooks started to make disparaging remarks about the court in the presence of the jury. I did not respond to those. And once that jury left, he got incredibly loud. He was yelling at me. He, I think, had been standing for the better part of the last couple of hours, even though at one point I directed him to sit down after the direct examination of the last witness. It was apparent to me that he was not pleased with some of the rulings that I had been making regarding objections. I would just remind him that this was a witness he called, therefore it's proper and allowable under the law, under 906.11, sub 3 to be exact, for the state to ask leading questions, which they did. And at the very end of that, there was an objection based on badgering, which, as the record reflects, I sustained. His voice got louder. He continued to stand. He was being very argumentative with that witness, who, again, he called. Given his posture, given his staring, given his pursing of his lips, given the way that he kept asking the same question in different ways, but over and over, not satisfied with the responses that had been given or the court sustaining the objections, that is why I made a finding at that time and sustained the objection for badgering. It was Mr. Brooks who asked me what that meant, and I indicated it's a form of intimidating a witness. I don't mean that in the sense of there's a charge of intimidating a witness. That's not certainly what I meant, but really in the common everyday usage, it's another word, it's a synonym for badgering. Clearly he was displeased with the court. After that, I cut off the examination, which I had given a number of warnings that I would do if he didn't ask an appropriate, a probative, a relevant question. During that time of both the, frankly, even during his direct examination, definitely during the state's cross-examination and then redirect, it was very apparent to this court, and I think to anyone who was watching that Mr. Brooks was not pleased with the witness's answers and would roll his eyes at her, or just to himself, I guess, and purse his lips and make other gestures that he did. That it was apparent to this court he did not like her testimony. And again, I'd remind everyone that it was his witness, and he had the police reports for this witness, and obviously was fully aware of her statements to the investigators in this case.
I hear you, Pip Scout.
So I just wanted to make a record of that. It's in part why at the very end, and given the history of today and his conduct and being removed previously, I thought it important that the court remove him at the end of the hearing outside the presence of the jury so that I could get through a couple of things. We have gotten through the witnesses for which Mr. Brooks issued subpoenas that the state assisted with. I did provide permission to him earlier today, if he so chooses, to call Dawn Woods as a witness. The only other witness at this point that I can identify that's been, for which the court and the state has been put on notice, of course, would be Mr. Brooks himself.
All right. For those of you guys just now coming in, these are clips that these are unedited clips that I've had in my little box of tricks while I've been working on this case, and I don't know what you're going to get. I don't know what we're going to get. We're just watching through them tonight.
Cold and windy Sunday afternoon in November. Thousands of people were bundling up and going downtown to watch the annual Waukesha Christmas parade. The event started off normal. There were dance teams, high school marching bands, local community groups, local businesses, all making their way down the parade route. The streets were lined with friends and family members and neighbors, people there to soak up the atmosphere. Kids ran into the street to grab candy from the people who were throwing it from the parades. It sounds corny, but I think you'll see from the videos there was a true sense of joy in the air. Darrell Brooks killed that joy. He replaced it with terror, trauma, and death. The evidence is going to show that Mr. Brooks left behind a trail of carnage and chaos as he made his way down Main Street through the parade route. The evidence will show that he left that crime scene, created that crime scene, in fact, because he was fleeing from another one where he had laid his hands on a woman and where police involvement became inevitable. So as he careened down Main Street, swerving from curb to curb, hands glued to the steering wheel, eyes fixed on the road in front of him with a silent rage on his face, he hit the gas with his red Ford Escape and used it as a battering ram over and over again, striking men, women, and kids. In the end, Mr. Brooks killed 6 people. He injured dozens more and left a permanent scar on this community. We are going to present evidence to you over the next several days in chronological phases, in order of events, from start to end. I'm going to take a few minutes. I'm going to lay out for you the table of contents to this story. We're going to set the scene with Sergeant Dave Warner from the City of Waukesha Police Department. Sergeant Warner was the highest-ranking police official working at the parade that day. He was the incident commander for the Waukesha Christmas Parade, and we are going to, with Sergeant Warner's help, take you through this, which is the first of 3 maps that we will refer to repeatedly throughout this trial. This map depicts the area that we're going to be talking about over the next couple of days, the parade route. Now, for those of you not entirely familiar with downtown Waukesha, this is going to look like a bunch of gibberish, but once we get going and we repeatedly refer to these street names, and the business names and groups involved in this parade, I think, like a second language to you. Sergeant Wanner will describe for you how the parade route ran from, if you look closely at the screens in front of you, the intersection of Main Street and White Rock Avenue. White Rock was a staging area for the parade groups and floats. And they made their way southeast on White Rock until they came to Main Street, and then they would make a right turn and head southeast down Main Street through the parade route until the very end as it wraps around to the south and runs into Wisconsin Avenue. The parade route then would continue to the east, making a left-hand turn on Wisconsin, but nothing really happens on Wisconsin Avenue. You're not going to hear any testimony about that. As you can see from this map, it depicts or represents each intersection where a squad car or a police officer was stationed. They're denoted by the little badge shields in the intersections. If you look closely, you can see little red lines, and Sergeant Wanner will describe how those represent the barricades that were placed at each intersection for security and safety purposes. Once we've got that established, we're going to move into the first chapter of this story, and you're going to hear about the origin of Mr. Brooks' rage that day. A violent domestic argument with Erica Patterson, his former girlfriend and the mother of his child. Erica Patterson is going to testify either today or tomorrow, hopefully today. She's going to tell you that in November of 2021, she was staying at the Women's Center, which is a shelter here in Waukesha. And on the day in question, November 21st of 2021, the defendant showed up in Waukesha in his red Ford Escape that she knew he drove, and he argued with her, and he harassed her, and he punched her in the face. And the thing about a swollen eye is it's tough to fake. You're going to hear evidence about how after, let me back up. You're going to hear evidence about how the defendant took Erica Patterson all over town that afternoon, from Frame Park, across the river, up Barstow Hill, back down to Frame Park. And at some point, after she was struck, after she sustained that injury, Erica called her friends because she needed help, and she had no one else to call. One of those friends is Corey Runkle. You're going to hear from Corey on the witness stand in this trial. Corey's going to say that she was Erica's roommate at the Women's Center. She had known Erica for a few weeks and they had grown close. And when she got the call from Erica that Erica needed help, Corey immediately responded to help. And she ended up finding Erica and Darrell Brooks in front of the White Rock School. If we go back, the White Rock School is on White Rock Avenue. It's on near the top right portion of the map. It's just south of Frame Park. And Corey is talk about how she found Erica and the defendant at this location, and she got into both a physical and a verbal altercation with Mr. Brooks. That altercation is captured on surveillance video, 2 surveillance videos actually. You're going to see both of them. See how the defendant was reacting that day. You're going to see what he looked like, what he was wearing, the red Ford Escape that he was driving. You're going to see how the defendant reacted once Erica's friends showed up and he lost his physical advantage over a woman. Erica and Corey will also testify that at some point during this scuffle, were called. And you're going to see video, squad video from the responding officer that shows just down the block there was a marked squad car with its lights flashing, marking the entrance to the parade. Something that people in front of White Rock School would have seen. So the evidence is going to show that the defendant must have known once things got loud and once there was more than just him and Erica on scene, the police were going to show up.
Is it just me, or is it a little off that he's sitting there going back and forth in his chair like that as he's describing all these horrific things that he did?
So he took the coward's way out. You're going to see him in the video get into the driver's seat of that red SUV. Corey and Erica will tell you that no one else was in the car. And you're going to see him pull off on White Rock towards Main Street. You're going to hear from law enforcement officers who were positioned along the parade route, the officers who made their initial contact with the defendant, the first ones who tried to stop him. And the first one is Detective Tom Casey, the lead detective in this case. He's sitting at the state's prosecution table right behind me. He's going to tell you that he was working that day as security for the parade. He was working at Main and White Rock. He's the first law enforcement officer to come into contact with the defendant during this incident, face to face, or I think better describe it as face to windshield. He tried to stop the defendant, but there's only so much a man can do against an SUV. But he's going to tell you that he got so close, he got such a good look at Darrell Brooks's face that from that witness stand, he'll be able to say to you definitively, Darrell Brooks, the man in orange on the video screen, is the man who was driving the red SUV in this case. You're going to hear from a few more officers. Officer Bryce Butcher and Officer Sonia Schneider. They were positioned at the intersection of Main Street and East Avenue, just a little bit further southwest in that map. You're going to hear them describe how they saw this red SUV approaching. They quickly realized it was not part of the parade. They quickly realized this was a problem. There are people, children, in the street, lining the street. And so they jumped into action. They tried to stop it. As the SUV started barreling towards them, Officer Butcher, again, tried to get in the way. He put himself at risk trying to get in front of the vehicle. Couldn't stop it. Officer Schneider tried to redirect the vehicle up Buckley Street, making a right-hand turn. She'll tell you, and you'll see in the video, there was room. There was space. She couldn't do it. The defendant blew past her. And that's when the screams in the police radio start. You're going to hear from Jim Hawkinson, a battalion chief for the Waukesha Fire Department. He's going to tell you about the massive scope of the emergency response to this tragedy. He was in charge of the fire department that day. He's going to tell you about all of the units that had to respond to the scene, the massive amount of resources needed to triage and treat and transport all the victims. He's going to tell you about the response from other communities in southeast Wisconsin, the mutual aid call that went out, and all the other communities that came to help out. He's going to tell you about how Waukesha Memorial Hospital, just up the hill from the parade route, quickly reached capacity, and so everybody had to be diverted to other medical facilities. We'll transition then into the next chapter of this story, and you're going to hear from some of the people whose lives were forever changed by the defendant's terrible decisions that day. But I'll tell you right now, you're not going to hear from all of them. It wouldn't make sense. It's not necessary. We intend to present the evidence to you in an efficient and streamlined way. We will elicit testimony and introduce exhibits that cover every element of every single criminal charge in this case. But our goal is to avoid duplication of evidence and to avoid undue hardship on the victims and the witnesses who have already suffered so much. So the first witness in this part of the trial that you're going to hear from is Nicole White. She's the very first person, aside from Detective Casey, who was struck by the defendant on that day. She's going to tell you, as we look at this second of the three maps that we're going to repeatedly refer to, that she was marching with her co-workers and friends with Remax. You'll recognize the float, I think, in the videos, because just like the commercials for Remax, there's a giant hot air balloon that shoots fire out of the basket, which is pretty cool.
Thank you, Sierra.
And she's going to tell you she was marching with her friends and her co-workers when, without any warning, she was hit from behind and knocked over. You're going to see video of that. Nicole White has a special significance in this case because, as the first person who was struck, she represents the point in time when Mr. Brooks was legally required to stop. You heard the judge read the hit and run jury instructions, and to summarize, in Wisconsin, anybody who's operating a motor vehicle who's involved in some kind of accident, they have a duty to stop, to investigate, to exchange information. Not only did Darrell Brooks, the evidence will show that he sped up. The evidence will show that as his body count increased, so did his motive to get away. Nicole White, I think, is a good point here for me to explain to you, or to summarize for you, the charge of first-degree recklessly endangering safety. Now, again, the judge read the law to you all morning and a lot of the afternoon, and she's going to read it to you again at the end of the case, and you're going to have a binder with all these instructions written down for you, so you do not need to memorize them, okay? But we're going to talk about first-degree recklessly endangering safety. It's a crime where it's committed by someone who recklessly endangers the safety of another human being under circumstances that show utter disregard for human life. Let's talk about what the state's not required to prove with recklessly endangering safety. Not required to prove injury. This was a conscious decision in our charging decision. We're not going to get into medical records. We're not going to talk about the details of witnesses' injuries because it's not relevant, except to the extent that it proves that they were endangered and resulted in injury. But we don't need to get into who was hit or how hard or how long they've suffered. We just are going to prove to you that their safety was endangered. So, after Nicole White, we are going to talk, you're going to hear evidence about the first of the larger groups that was affected by this incident, the Waukesha South High School Marching Band. 10 kids in that band got either hit or run over. Here's the first example of our efficient presentation of evidence. You're not going to hear from any one of them. High school-aged kids, there's video showing each and every one of them getting run over. So instead, you're going to hear from their band director, Sarah Waymeyer Aparicio. She's going to come in and she's going to look at some still shots of the video. She's going to identify each of the 10 kids for you. You're then going to watch and listen to the video, and it'll be clear as day who's getting run over or hit. It'll be clear as day whose safety was endangered by Mr. Brooks that day. As we move further down the parade route, you'll hear evidence about the Burris Logistics Group. You'll hear testimony from Kelly Grabo about how she was marching with that group along with her young daughter. You'll see video of them. They're dressed up like the Who's from Whoville. You'll see them get hit. As we move further down the parade route, you'll hear testimony about the Green family. They're spectators along the parade route. Charles Green is going to come in and talk about how he was there with his family. He was sitting on the southeast corner of Main and Gasper across the street from Martha Merrill's Books. He'll talk about how his kids were seated on a portable bench, something that you bring to a parade to sit on, and how they got knocked off that bench when the defendant ran into them. The next point in the presentation of evidence will involve the Waukesha Blazers. I think it's important to point out you can't consider this evidence of each crime in a vacuum. You need to consider the entire incident. Because at this point, by the time we get to the Blazers, the defendant will have already hit or run over 15 people. You'll see in the video that at this point the defendant has actually increased his speed, and you'll hear from Detective Mike Carpenter with the Waukesha Police Department. He's going to come in and talk about speed analysis. He'll tell you that he's certified to use a software program that basically takes surveillance video, measures the amount of time it takes to travel a certain distance in that video, and calculates an average speed over that distance. And he'll tell you that in video obtained from Bosco's Social Club, which is right in front of where the Blazers got hit, he'll tell you that that video in that area right before the Blazers got hit, the defendant was traveling in excess of 33 miles an hour. There were 5 victims in the Blazers. That includes Jackson Sparks, who was walking with his big brother Tucker. Cut down in the road before he had a chance to put any miles on his soul. Jackson was 8. He died 2 days later in the hospital. I think this is a good point to talk about the law of first-degree intentional homicide. Again, the judge provided the law to you. It'll be provided to you again at the conclusion of the trial. I want you to take a look at that second element. I don't know what the defense in this case is going to be. In fact, the defendant isn't required to put one on at all. He can sit there and not say a word throughout this trial, and that's perfectly within his right, and you can't hold that against him. And in fact, if he does that and we don't prove each and every one of these counts to you beyond a reasonable doubt, you must find him not guilty. That's the law. But if he does choose to present a defense, if he does raise any issues, I expect that he will likely claim that he didn't mean to kill these people. Take a look at that second bullet point. Keep that in mind as you're watching these videos, as you're learning about how this parade unfolded. Consider whether the defendant was aware that his conduct was practically certain to cause the death of another human being. We're going to move further down the parade route, and the next group after the Blazers is the extreme dance group. There were girls of really all ages in this group, from toddlers being pulled in strollers up to high school age teenage dancers. 15 victims, 15 people associated with this group either got hit or were very close to getting hit. That doesn't include 2 additional spectators who were watching the parade from the south side of Main Street near the 5 Points intersection, right in front of the extreme dance team as the defendant drove through. Girls in this dance group suffered catastrophic injuries. The group of victims also includes parents, grandparents, siblings, people marching with the group, but not necessarily as dancers. You're not going to hear from everybody who got hit. You're going to hear from the 2 instructors, the 2 young ladies who were tasked with teaching these girls these routines and marching with them and encouraging them and comforting them after the fact. And they're going to, in the video, identify for you where all these girls are positioned, and it'll be very clear the path of travel of the vehicle as it goes through that group of young ladies, who was hit and who was nearly hit. The next group down the parade route is Citizens Bank, and here we reach the second count of intentional homicide. Jane Kulik was marching with Citizens Bank with her friends, with her co-workers. This is the only count of homicide for which there is no clear video depicting how she died. So instead of watching video, you're going to hear evidence from her co-worker and from the man who was driving the truck pulling the float. And they're really the ones who are in the best position to observe exactly what happened to Jane Kulik as the defendant plowed through that parade route. And they're going to describe for you how she was struck, how she was run over. A medical examiner will explain that Jane Kulik's cause of death was multiple blunt force traumatic injuries. We'll move further down southwest along the parade route, and we'll learn about a group that was standing in front of the steaming cup, spectators again. Innocent people have nothing to do with anything. You're going to hear about 3 kids who were standing along with a bunch of others along the curb in front of steaming cup, and as the defendant swerved from the left side of the street as he hit Jane back to the right side of the street as he was avoiding the vehicle that was ahead of him, clipped the curb and hit these 3 kids. Then we're going to move in to the next group in the parade route, which is the Dancing Grannies. This is the deadliest point in the parade. 7 people in this group were struck. 4 of them died. You're going to hear from witnesses, members of the Dancing Grannies group, who will come in and they will describe being completely caught off guard. They will describe seeing pom-poms in the air, and the next thing they knew, there were bodies on the ground before the pom-poms hit the ground. You will learn about Bill Ospel, who was marching in a support capacity. He was there to support his wife Lola and their friends, the rest of the dancing grannies, just walking along the parade route trying to be helpful. And as the defendant swerved around the dancing granny's vehicle, which is a white SUV, you'll see it in the video, swerved around the right side, he hits Bill, and the medical examiner is going to tell you that Bill Ospel cause of death was multiple blunt force traumatic injuries. You'll learn about Tamara Durand, marching with the grannies. This is her first parade. You'll see a diagram of where she was positioned. You'll see video of her getting struck. The medical examiner will tell you that Tamara Durand, cause of death, multiple blunt force traumatic injuries. You'll hear about Lee Owen, another dancing granny, positioned right next to Tamara, who had just begun one of her favorite routines, walking in a winter wonderland, when she got hit. You'll learn about Ginny Sorensen. You'll learn that Ginny was walking at the front of the group carrying the banner. You'll learn that Ginny was normally a coach for the group. Normally she rode in the vehicle in the back so that she could provide feedback and critique to her dance mates. But she filled in at the last moment today and helped carry the banner. You'll see video of Ginny getting struck. The medical examiner will tell you that Ginny Sorensen's cause of death was multiple blunt force traumatic injuries. You'll hear more speed analysis testimony at this point. You're going to hear from Mike Smith with the Wisconsin State Patrol, who's going to testify very similarly to how Detective Carpenter is going to testify about speed analysis. Basically, he takes surveillance video, this time from Curry Insurance, which is on the south side of Main Street. It shows the grannies getting struck. They measure point to point and measure the time between those 2 points and calculate an average speed over that distance, which is roughly from Clinton Street up until the camera cuts out. They'll tell you that at that point, where the defendant crashed through the dancing grannies group, he was traveling at approximately 32 miles an hour. The eighth and final group that was struck by the defendant in this case is the Catholic Communities of Waukesha. This is a faith-based organization. It consists of members of multiple local Catholic churches who got together that Sunday afternoon to spread a little Christmas cheer. There is not great video, and perhaps that's for the best, of this group getting struck. In total, there were 19 victims in this group. In what little you can see from the video, you can see the defendant's taillights swerving from the left side of the street to the right. You can see them bouncing up and down. There are no speed bumps in that section of the road. The next phase of the evidence will involve the manhunt. How authorities found the defendant, took him into custody, and the statements he made after he was placed under arrest. You will hear from Officer Bryce Skolton, who was positioned, if you look at this third of the 3 maps I referenced, on the very top of this map at the intersection of Main Street and Wisconsin. Officer Skolton was positioned at that point to direct the parade route to make a left-hand turn from Main Street onto Wisconsin, to stop any traffic coming from the other directions. He saw the defendant come around that corner. He saw the defendant drive right at him as he's standing in the middle of the road. And as the defendant went around him to the left and went south, Officer Skolton fired 3 rounds from his service weapon. All 3 rounds hit the car. None of them hit the defendant. You will hear from another police officer who was not on duty that day. He just happens to be a police officer. His name is Officer Ralph Salyers. He's from the Waukesha Police Department. If you take a look at that map, he's going to describe to you being on the sidewalk, leaving the parade. He was walking past Les Paul Middle School. He's going to describe hearing a loud commotion. He's going to describe seeing a red SUV with just utterly totaled front end damage coming to rest in a driveway at 338 Maple Avenue. You're going to see video of the defendant in the red SUV pulling into the alley behind 338 Maple, and then a few moments later you'll see what appears to be the defendant coming back onto the screen and running away from the vehicle, apparently in a hurry, apparently aware that he had done something terribly wrong. You're going to hear from a series of witnesses between that point and the defendant's arrest, where they will describe the defendant approaching them, contacting them, asking them to use their phone. Because he was in such a rush when he ditched his SUV, he left his phones behind. Then you're going to hear from Daniel Ryder, and I think the evidence will show Daniel Ryder really is a good embodiment of the spirit of Waukesha.
Agree.
Not knowing what Mr. Brooks had done, Daniel Ryder opened his home to the defendant. The defendant showed up at his front door without any shoes on, with a t-shirt, said he was cold, said he needed to use the phone. Daniel Ryder let him inside, gave him a sandwich, let him use the phone, and then gave him a coat. And a few minutes later, the police showed up. You're going to see body cam video of that arrest. You're going to hear from Officer Rebecca Carpenter that she responded to that area around where Daniel Ryder lives because of reports of a man knocking on doors. She takes him into custody. He identifies himself on the body cam video. They search him, and in his pocket they find a key to the red Ford Escape used in this attack. You're going to hear from a series of officers who retraced the defendant's steps that night, recovered surveillance video showing the path that he took, the path that's depicted here in the third map that I'm showing you. You're going to hear how they recovered his sandal, his sweatshirt along the escape route. You're going to hear from Detective Jay Carpenter with the City of Waukesha Police Department, and he's going to talk to you about the defendant's statements after he was taken into custody. I'm going to let that interview speak for itself, other than pointing out for you that you will, I think, quickly learn a few main points about the defendant on the night that this happened. He was lucid. He was aware. He was intelligent. He was probing for information. And he was deceptive. We're going to then wrap up with testimony from people who plugged any of the remaining holes in the investigation. You'll hear from crime lab analysts about DNA evidence, about finding the defendant's DNA on the steering wheel of the red Ford Escape. You're going to hear from Wisconsin State Patrol Inspector Ryan Schultz. He's going to testify about the mechanical inspection that he did on this vehicle. In case you were wondering if there were any issues that would have prevented Mr. Brooks from stopping or from pulling over, he's going to quickly put those concerns to bed. He conducted that mechanical inspection. No problem with the brakes. The accelerator didn't stick. There were no mechanical problems that would have prevented Mr. Brooks from stopping. Finally, we're going to close our presentation of the evidence, not with a witness, but with an experience for you. You are going to go to a secure location, and you're going to have a chance to see the murder weapon with your own eyes. You'll be able to see that red Ford Escape. I want to close now with a few points about how the evidence relates to the law in this case. There are, obviously, we've gone through the 6 counts of first-degree intentional homicide. But in addition to those homicide counts, there are 6 counts of hit and run involving death. Those are separate charges. The evidence will support convictions on all of them, all 12 counts of homicide. but they involved the same 6 victims. Another point I want to bring to your attention is that for each count of first-degree intentional homicide and each count of first-degree recklessly endangering safety, if you find the defendant guilty of any of those counts, you have to answer a second question. Did he commit that crime while using a dangerous weapon? And here the evidence will show that he didn't use a gun or a knife to commit these crimes. He used 3,500 pounds of steel, rubber, and glass.
Those evil
The defendant's
eyes.
also charged with 2 counts of felony bail jumping. You'll hear evidence to support those charges, which includes the fact that the defendant was charged with a felony offense in a case in Milwaukee County and released from custody subject to conditions of bail. And then he was charged with another felony offense in a separate case in Milwaukee County and released from custody subject to conditions of bail. And those conditions of bail included requirements that he not commit any new crime. And those conditions of bail were in effect on November 21st of 2021. We have dozens of video clips to show you. You're going to have notebooks and writing utensils while we present this evidence to you. It's a lot to keep track of. And when you go back into the deliberation room, it might be difficult while you're deliberating to remember which video was about which victim or which incident or which group. And so my suggestion to you is that as we go through these videos, you're free to do whatever you want with your notes, but my suggestion would be as we go through these videos, they each will be labeled with an exhibit number. And so I recommend that you keep track of which exhibit number corresponds with which video. That way, while you're deliberating, if you want to see those videos again, you can ask for them by exhibit number. Can't guarantee that you'll be able to see any or all of them, but you can ask. I'm done now. I want to close on one final point, and that is, on behalf of the state of Wisconsin, I want to say thank you. You're serving in what is the greatest criminal justice system in the history of the world, and that's because of the 16 of you. It's because a group of citizens, randomly selected, come in and make the final, ultimate determination between guilty and not guilty. That's unique in this world. It's special. And so we're going to go through this evidence. We're going to be mindful of your time. We know how valuable it is. We're going to be efficient, but we have a lot to get through. A lot. And at the conclusion of all that evidence, District Attorney Opper is going to stand up here and she's going to ask you to render verdicts consistent with the evidence, to find the defendant guilty of each and every count. Thank you.
Yeah, he did a fabulous, fabulous job. He's a great speaker. So yeah, he says, I want to hear from the other courtroom what Darrell was saying during his timeouts. Yeah. I'm sure it'll come out when they get the transcripts are done. We know that. We know the appellate attorney has the transcripts. I saw on Southern Law, he was saying that the appeal process is going to take quite some time. So it'll be a while before we hear back on any of that. But I just want to remind you guys again, not this coming Thursday, but the following Thursday, he's going to be supposedly in court for that hearing where he gets assigned his new attorney, or they put it on the record or whatever. I don't know if they're going to show it or not, but we'll be live just in case they do. Let me look at something really quick. A couple of things that were starred here earlier today I wanted to talk about. Oh, Pips K was asking Carrie that time when DB was in the other courtroom and took his shirt off. Do you know what started that? I have a video, one of my first videos I ever did. I can't remember exactly what that was. I'm going to be honest. I can't remember what set him off that day. There's no telling. I don't know. It's been a while since I did that one. That was like one of the first ones ever. So yeah, so Stacy B wants to do a recipe swap, you guys. So I'll set that up. The 12 days of Christmas recipe swap. Let me look on the calendar really quick. So Christmas falls on. Bridger says hello, by the way. Oh, it falls on a Monday this year. All right, so oh, we could start on the 14th, the 13th, or the 14th, and that'll be the, or we could do it on the 12th. As long as we do it before the 13th, we're good, I guess, right? Sarah Boone trial is no, it got moved. It got moved, didn't it? I have down that her trial starts on the 11th of December, but she got pushed back already. So the Cremo trial starts on the 11th. And next Friday, Ethan Crumbly is going to be sentenced. I want to do something on that. My sister has a thing coming up. She's going to the hospital, so I got to go on the 6th. I'm not going to be, I probably won't be around on the 6th, but on the 7th and the 8th, I will. Okay, so we'll check on that. I know you guys don't want to hear my schedule. I'm sitting here looking at my paper calendar. You know how I am. Thank you, Crazy KC and John Bubba, for coming up. Y'all were so much fun. So if you want to do the recipe swap, email me your recipes. And if you have any pictures of your recipes, or maybe if you have a link to like a website that has the recipe, email me the link. Make sure I know what your screen name is here on YouTube, okay? Otherwise, it's going to be very hard for me to. It's just much easier for everybody if you do that, okay? And what I'll do is I can put them up on our community chat area. And also, if y'all want to have like if you want to do a live where we do recipe exchanges, we could do that too. That'd be fun. I wanted to also say, yeah, my email address is in the description of the comment of all my videos, so you'll be able to find my email address. So Crazy Casey's been holding out on us. She says she's been in the system for a really long time. The first person that she put handcuffs on was John Gacy. Girl, we're gonna have to do a recording. We'll do a recording and then we'll come back and put that up. That is a story that we need to get out there. That is interesting. And I'll make you eat soap before you come up. We can pre-record though if you want to, because John Bubba likes to pre-record too. So we can do that. I'll do that one day. We're both you guys. D. Lumley says, "Hey Carrie, thank you so much for another great video." Thank you, honey. I appreciate all your kind words in the chat and also in the comment section. You're so sweet. Aren't you the Kerrie Carrie though? If I remember your picture right, I could be wrong. John Bubba said that. This is, y'all, this is horrible. Instead of listening to Darnish's rap videos, I'd rather listen to a fat boy fart. You are so wrong. You are not right. Oh, I know, Minnie T. Those transcripts have to be like crazy long, right? I mean, it's probably a lot more than going through a regular trial, I would think, with them having to deal with that, what was going on over there with him going off. And oh, thank you, Gnome Fundo. That picture was taken with the Tom and Jerry, Tom and Jerry. We were at a Atlanta Braves ball game in Atlanta. Let's see. If there's a hearing, it might get delayed again, I bet. You think the hearing is going to get really? I mean, come on now. He can't get delayed again. I'm going through your chats right now. There's a lot. Good night, Miss Sharon. If I didn't say hello to you, oh hey Blanco. I wanted to mention how cute you look. Oh, thank you, Blanco. You're so sweet. I'll tell you a secret. You never talked about it before. Really? Well, are you good with putting it out on YouTube? What, Laura? Oh my goodness. Laura, 3 of your brother's friends were his victims? The John Wayne Gacy. That's who she's talking about, Audrey. Oh my goodness. Pip's case says, ignore my last email. I just sent you. Didn't know it was supposed to be a recipe email. I sent a photo of my cats. No, you could do that. You can send me photos. I'm trying to, y'all, I'm still working on the other channel, setting that up with the pet thing. I'm in talks with the shelters right now. So trying to get that started a few years ago. Oh my gosh, Laura. Laura says, I can't put that up on the screen. Laura says the building that they were investigated a few years ago, where there's all kinds of speculation that there may be some remains there, is the apartment building my grandmother lived in. Oh my gosh. I know, Minnie K. Well, I don't know what the delay was last time. They're probably somebody drew the short straw on taking his case, and they were like, hell no. I got COVID. They were like, no way. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that one. Y'all got some interesting stories. Y'all are all holding out on me. So, Laura, we might have to hear your story too. Greg Godzik was my brother's best friend. Oh my goodness, Laura. Well, thank you, Miss Elizabeth, for being here with us tonight. We appreciate you. Even if you're not in the chat, thank you for watching. We do appreciate you. Kerryctures mentioned no shirt day was the first day of the trial when he was upset about them referring to the fact that he was in prison clothes. That's what I was thinking, Kimmy. That was like when he got all his panties in a bunch because she was trying to explain to him how it looked better if he was in regular attire. Ah, wow. Minnie T's story says she worked a block from where Dahmer lived. Oh my gosh. You guys. I'm so sorry, Laura. Were you good friends with those people? Y'all hear Bruiser? Bruiser's. He's fussing at me. Listen, tell us, Bruiser. He's fussing. I hate when people do that when they talk to their pets when they're on live stream. So I'm not going to do that. Can you post your email so I can send you a photo of my Henry? Kimmy, it's in the description of every video. It's alandelaineslegacy@gmail.com. Okay, what's even more disgusting is this is from Laura. Do you mean Gacy, not Gracie? I was actually at Gacy's house with my grandmother for one of his parties. Oh my gosh, Laura. We got to do a lot. We got to do a pre-record, girl. Bubba, Bruiser, Bubba told you to, John Bubba said, preach, but Bruiser. Thank you, Blanco. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. We've hit our 2-hour mark, so I'm gonna call it. But I want to say I appreciate you all. And tomorrow, I don't do Sundays. It's the Lord's Day. It's the Sabbath. But I'll be back on Monday. Might drop. I think I've got some shorts scheduled. I pre-record or pre-set up some shorts to drop maybe tomorrow. So you might be seeing a lot of shorts. It's just a good way to get the videos out there to get more people. So if you watched them, please don't get upset that I'm resubmitting pieces from stuff we've already watched. Hi, Cassandra. Welcome. Exactly. Got church. All right, guys. Well, y'all be good, and I will talk to y'all on Monday. Love you guys. Oh my gosh. Yaki, which is worse, birthday party with Gacy or a Thanksgiving at J Dahmer? Okay, I gotta quit reading the chat or I'll never get off here. Y'all every time. Damn Southern long goodbyes. All right. Stay safe. Bye, y'all.